I wanted to ask you about Moises Caicedo because he is seen as Chelsea is seen as the front runners for him, but reports from Sky that Man United have now opened up direct talks um, and will be making a formal approach for the player. We know Chelsea is seen as the front runners. What's your understanding of his transfer from Brighton, and how long do you see this saga playing on for?
Okay, well, firstly, yeah, in terms of him being a target, yeah, he is a main target of Chelsea in this moment. I don't believe this will be a £100 million deal. That's been talked about a lot. I don't see that happening. But of course, Brighton are using the market to their advantage at the moment to make sure they get top price for him, and you can't blame him for that at all. Caicedo has an open promise that he'll be allowed to move this summer. He doesn't expect to be playing for Brighton at the start of next season. And Chelsea have been pushing forward slowly with this, and they need to try and stay in control of the situation. I think what does help them is that there aren't any other clubs in England that are either equipped to go and spend £100 million on Caicedo right now. The other clubs he's being linked to, you've got Arsenal, who have just done £100 million on Declan Rice and have spent over £200 million in this window, or are about to once these deals get activated. Man United, until that takeover goes over, I don't see how they can come up with the money for Caicedo, especially if they are going ahead with Mount and Onana, which is the case as of this second. So that questions whether they can properly compete for him. And it gives Chelsea a very good opportunity to actually seal a transfer for Caicedo, which is much needed given the fact that they've absolutely blown up their midfield. You know, they got rid of Jorginho in January. Kovacic just joined Manchester City. Loftus-Cheek just joined AC Milan. Kante going to Saudi Arabia, which was a massive blow because that was the one that they thought they could see out for another year. They thought it could get him, keep him going, but Kante's gone. Mason Mount still likely to go to Man United. Conor Gallagher's future uncertain, although I got a feeling that Conor Gallagher actually ends up staying at Chelsea. So like they've 100% got to sign at least one midfielder, probably possibly two. And Caicedo is of the level and fits the profile and has the resale value, etc., that Chelsea are looking for right now. So Brighton will hold out for what they can get. And Chelsea will look to negotiate that soon and try and get it over the line.
Absolutely. And I see them as the front runners in this race. Can you see anybody else getting involved? There's talk of Arsenal also trying to sign him alongside Rice, Man United wanting him. Can you see there becoming a bidding war, another team taking Chelsea over in this race, or do you think he's more likely to be a Chelsea player than anybody else?
I think it's more likely to be with Chelsea than anybody else because, as I say, those clubs aren't well equipped enough financially as of this moment to go and compete with them. Arsenal, if they were to even contemplate doing this, will be in a situation where they're having to spread out those payments over a long period of time. We've just seen all the talk about the structuring around Declan Rice. Well, it's going to be the same again, maybe worse if they're trying to look at signing Caicedo right now. And Man United, you know, anything over £100 million right now doesn't really seem accessible to them until this takeover, which perhaps is now more imminent than it was half hour ago, seems to be. So look, if United do get that cash, then of course that's a game changer, and you can go and actually have that conversation with Brighton about Caicedo much more seriously.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those deals I want to prolong because the longer it goes on for, the more chance we have of getting involved.
Yeah.
On down the line. Also, keep an eye out for the Frankie de Jong situation with Barca's financial problems if Man United get money, but that's a deal that United fans don't even want to think about. We don't want to because we got so upset and burnt last year as fans. I don't think we want to get too emotionally involved with it. I mean, Chelsea though have done some brilliant business with the exits. Maybe a week. I remember a week ago we were talking. Maybe 2 weeks ago we were talking and saying, when are these exits going to start? Now they're up to what? Nearly 10 players out the door. Mount next. Loftus-Cheek gone. Hudson-Odoi on his way out. Like, they are doing some serious business in terms of shifting out unwanted players, deadwood, deflating that squad. You would expect some quality signings to start coming in the other way soon, wouldn't you, really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think this is a great strategy, by the way. I'm not sure that you can overhaul a squad this radically in such a short period of time and expect success quickly. I don't see how that can be the case. They're assembling the most expensive squad we've ever seen, basically. But at the same time, they've ripped apart a team that won the Champions League just only 2 years ago. And that seems completely unnecessary, to be honest with you. And actually, what it's done is it's allowed Arsenal to play catch up and actually start taking advantage of their own situation. So I think I said it on here last week, like to consider where Chelsea and Arsenal were 2 years ago and where they are now, absolute madness that they've been able to catch up. But of course, Chelsea going down a different path now in terms of recruitment and in terms of the profile of players that they want. At some point, they are going to have to start looking at some actual proven players, though, because even the next one through the door will be Nicholas Jackson, pretty much ready to go on that one. He's not really a game changer as I see it. I spoke to someone a few days ago to just check on exactly where he fitted in, and he is expected to be like a centre forward. And if it's him and Brozier fighting out to be Chelsea's number 9 next season, I don't really feel that that's changing the game in terms of putting you back into the title race and elevating your chances of being in that European equation anytime soon. Obviously, like Nkunku and players like that will also benefit this team, but the shift is just huge. It's huge. And I think it's a shame that so much of it has had to change. Go back to even Mason Mount. It's crazy that you would be ripping up the identity of Chelsea to the extremes that he doesn't even fit in. But they could flip the script. They could say, look, other players are going to get opportunities. Levi Cole will probably be in Chelsea's starting lineup at the beginning of next season, and there'll be new players for a new era that are made to feel identifiable to what Chelsea are about going forward. So yeah, there's a lot to be done, but they've got extremely lucky with the fact they've been able to offload these players to Saudi teams. That is literally that wasn't on the cards at all. So
I get where you're coming from in terms of dismantling the team that won the Champions League, that is great core, and it's been ripped apart. The problem is that they have to do what they're doing this summer, Chelsea, because of the mistakes of last summer and January combined, if that makes sense. They have to offload. It's almost impossible for them to get rid of any of the young players they've put on those 8-9 year deals. They kind of can't get rid of. I do think there'll be a sting in the tail with either Havertz or Mount. I think one of those two is going to go away and be very, very good. And there could be. But if Nkunku comes in and delivers, I think Chelsea fans will get over it. The one area I 100% agree with you on is they need to add some elder statesmen. It can't just be kids. And I even look at Arsenal in the same way. A lot of their squad is going to be under the age of 25 next season with Xhaka and Partey going. I think Jorginho, I think they'll have 4 main players that will be over their age on outfield. If they do sign a couple more players in the back end of the window, maybe they've got to be of a certain age and vintage to add a little bit of experience and know-how in. So I think Chelsea do need to do that as well, because it is hard to, in terms of, you can build a very good footballing team when it's young, but getting over the line and winning trophies, which when Chelsea is spending over 700-800 million probably by the end of this window, the expectation is still to be in the top 4, challenging for trophies, and within a season or two, just like Man United, trying to win that Premier League title again. So they have to get the mixture of personnel right, in my opinion. But I would say, in response to having a 37-man squad, they've done very well so far. Is they get rid of a lot of those players, because if they didn't de-swell that squad, it doesn't matter who their manager is, who they buy, they were going to absolutely struggle next year. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting season for Chelsea, no doubt, because the strategy is like nothing anyone's ever seen before.
Yeah, I mean, there's no Premier League experience in there. Honestly, front to back, there's going to be barely anything there. You're going to have, I mean, obviously Kepa has got it. Thiago Silva's got it. Luckily for them, the 2 fullbacks they're going to keep, and that's absolutely key. I mean, the defense is actually the area that they're probably okay in, because you've kept Thiago for the extra year, and you've got the 2 fullbacks. But, Badiashile is new to the league. Levi Colwell's only had one season. Wesley Fofana is still emerging. So they're all players with little experience. Malo Gusto is coming in as the new right back, no Premier League experience. Going into the midfield, and you've got Enzo Fernandez, who's obviously new to the league, still brilliant. So I'm not going to doubt whether he's able of playing in the Premier League. That'd be ridiculous. But Caicedo, he's still new to this. He's still 21. He's still coming through. So everywhere you're looking, you're relying on young talent. You go even like the forwards that they've actually brought in, like Mudryk, Chukwuemeka as a midfielder, like hasn't got the experience that they need. Andre Santos being talked about as getting more games next season, no experience. Noni Madueke, no experience at this level. And all the ones who had all the experience, they're just getting rid of all of them. And then you talk about signing Nicholas Jackson, no experience in the Premier League. It's a very, very risky path to go down. You've got Raheem Sterling, who's obviously got experience, but they're going to be few and far between by the time you get beyond. Like there'll be like a core of probably 6 in the first team, and everybody else will have a freshness about them, which of course can be a good thing. Like there'll be a rawness to the team, and they'll have no fear perhaps, and things like that, not being burnt by some of the bad times. But then there are a lot of players in this team that experienced what happened last season and need to overcome that. But look, Chelsea will still look to add to this squad. There's no doubt about it. Like I'm not convinced that there won't be another 9 coming through.
No, yeah, I
You know,
agree on that. There are talks that Chelsea will move for the Celta Vigo midfielder Gabri Veiga once Mount has gone. Is that something you're hearing as well?
haven't really heard that, to be honest. No, obviously Gabri Vega's been linked with pretty much everyone over the course of the last 3 months. So I'm not saying he's not on their watch list. It would be silly if he wasn't, and he does fit the profile of what they're after in pretty much every sense. But he's not really one of the names that has been mentioned to me very often now.